I'm Bruno, part of Non-In Kitchen. We started the project here in Belgrade 7 years ago. When we were here, it was snowing like it is now. You can see at the very backs the Eagles Hill, the buildings that they were creating when we were here. And we came now, 7 years later, to see how it is the situation in this place. For this visit, Paul Laverty came to visit us. We are so pleased to have him on board. He's a filmmaker. He's going to be presenting one of his latest movies in Athens soon. And he was with us for this week to get some impressions.
Yeah, well, it's been an amazing week, Bruno. So I'd like to thank Bruno and his wonderful team at Non-In Kitchen for setting up this last week. It's been very intense for us, and it's been brilliant to see so many young, aspiring volunteers do really practical work. They're very, very efficient, very, very spontaneous. They were able to adapt to circumstances. And so we spent time in Seed with 5 or 6 volunteers. And that work was really remarkable because it was medical work giving really, really important advice and support to people travelling, you know, with a professional nurse. There was giving out, you know, food and support. But the most incredible thing was just seeing the solidarity and seeing how many of the people on the move responded when they saw the volunteers. It gave them a lift because they knew they were not alone. I can actually remember the very first place we went to, and they saw the young volunteers coming out, and they came out and they came running, and there was a light in their face. And I'm not being melodramatic, but it was the solidarity and the very fact they were being welcomed had an amazing effect on them, and that was as important as the hot tea and the food and the medical support. It was really impressive. So we had some wonderful days there. I was very impressed by how the volunteers operated, how they were transparent, how you had your discussions, how you tried to solve problems. And sometimes it was very, very tricky because there was people out in very, very isolated areas. You didn't know the circumstances in which what you were going to find. And so it was remarkable to see how they made it, you know, decisions on the move, but in a very transparent and in a very consensual fashion. That was very, very impressive. But like you, Bruno, I was just amazed by the casual violence of the states. You know, the states in Europe and also particularly in Bulgaria. You know, one man in particular who was an engineer described in detail how he was beaten up continuously for 3 hours along with 10 other people, stripped naked, water thrown over them, given electric shocks, and then sent back into the night with no clothes whatsoever, you know, back into Turkey. And what really struck him was the amount of, he said there's thousands of shoes there outside the barracks when people had their shoes confiscated. So that would seem to indicate that this was happening on a grand scale. And we met, you remember the people we met there, the young kids who showed me the photographs of their friends, 3 of their friends with broken noses. So that kind of level of violence, you know, was just really remarkable and absolutely shocking. To think that you've been doing this now for 7 years, it started off here, and the really sad thing for me is to think that what you're doing now is just as much needed now as ever. I mean, that is really remarkable. Absolutely heartbreaking, and it shows you just, you know, what a lack of imagination, what a lack of humanity, that we don't have a rational plan to deal with so many people on the move and share it around Europe in a rational fan instead of beating the crap out of all these young people in the most violent fashion, which doesn't work. All it does is traumatise and causes misery.
Thanks for your words, for being with us, and for seeing with your own eyes what's happening. You know, it is something that has been for a while, and the violence is still here, and it's so needed that people know about it. Unfortunately, it's nothing new, but we have to do it. It's been a privilege to share. Thank you. It's been a privilege to have shared this time with you. So, thank you, Non-In Kitchen, and power to you. Bye.